In a world saturated with technology, speed, and apparent connection, many people face a sense of emptiness that contrasts with the advancements that should facilitate a fulfilling life. Why then does it seem that the more we progress, the more alienated we feel? Carl Jung, one of the pioneers of analytical psychology, offered profound insights into the roots of this modern malaise. Jung argued that disconnection from our inner world, the loss of meaningful symbols, and the rejection of the transcendent have contributed to a spiritual crisis in contemporary society. In this video, we will explore how Jung's ideas about the unconscious, meaning, and the integration of the psyche can shed light on the sense of emptiness in modern life, and what we can do to reclaim a sense of purpose and wholeness. At the heart of the modern void is the disconnection between man and his spiritual dimension. Carl Jung observed that, as science and materialism became entrenched as pillars of modernity, the practices and beliefs that had nourished the human soul for centuries were relegated to oblivion. Spirituality, which once provided a sense of purpose and connection to the transcendental, has been replaced by consumption and material achievement. While science is essential for progress, it has reduced the worldview to what can be measured or proven. This approach, though useful, overlooks the immaterial dimensions of existence, meaning, intuition, and transcendence. Meanwhile, consumerism promises to fill this void with material goods, but quickly reveals itself incapable of satisfying deeper needs. The detachment from spiritual traditions doesn't necessarily mean abandoning organized religions, but rather a disconnection from what Jung called the living symbol. These images and rituals, which once resonated deeply within the human psyche, have lost relevance in a world that values utility over meaning. What once united the individual with the cosmos is now seen as superstition or irrelevance. For Jung, the remedy was not simply a return to the past. Instead of attempting to revive traditional religious structures, he advocated for a personal quest for the luminous, that sense of awe in the face of the unknown that nourishes the soul. Modern spirituality could take on new personalized forms, from meditative practices to artistic creation, as long as they offer an authentic connection with the transcendental. This task, however, is not easy. It requires the individual to challenge cultural norms and recognize that the meaning of life cannot be found in external measures of success. Jung invites us to look inward, to explore the realms of the unconscious where the archetypes and symbols that once guided humanity still reside. This quest may be solitary, but it is essential for recovering a sense of belonging and purpose in a world dominated by materialism. Progress has been the fundamental promise of modernity, from the Industrial Revolution to the digital age. We have been told that every advancement brings us closer to a better life. Yet, as machines ease our tasks and technology connects millions, the rates of depression and anxiety continue to rise. Carl Jung identified a central paradox in this phenomenon. Technical progress does not guarantee human well-being. The concept of progress in modernity is often measured by material and technological achievements. However, this one-dimensional view ignores psychological and spiritual development. Jung observed that while science expands our knowledge of the external world, it neglects our understanding of the inner world. As a result, many people experience a disconnection between external advances and their internal needs. This disconnection is aggravated by the fast-paced nature of modern life. The immediacy of communications, constant access to information, and pressure to always be productive have created a culture of chronic stress. People are constantly running toward goals that, once achieved, fail to provide lasting satisfaction. According to Jung, this pursuit of external progress distracts us from the fundamental questions. Who am I? What do I truly want from life? Moreover, reliance on technical progress also generates a sense of alienation. Automation and technology, while efficient, eliminate human interactions and meaningful connections. Jung saw this as a profound psychological problem, as humans need authentic relationships and emotional contact to thrive. When these connections are broken, the feeling of isolation is amplified. Progress, according to Jung, should not be rejected but balanced. We need a redefinition that encompasses both external and internal growth. This shift requires us to value time for reflection, self-knowledge, and activities that nourish the soul. Instead of measuring success by tangible achievements, we could focus on the quality of our experiences and relationships. Only then can progress fulfill its promise of enriching human life instead of emptying it. One of the main causes of the modern void, according to Jung, is the imbalance between the conscious ego and the unconscious. In contemporary society, the ego dominates our perception, functioning as the rational, controlling self. This excessive focus on logic and control leads to the repression of essential aspects of the unconscious, where a rich source of creativity, intuition, and self-knowledge resides. The unconscious, in Jung's view, is more than a repository of repressed memories. It is a dynamic realm where archetypes and universal symbols live, shaping our experience of life. When we ignore these forces, we lose access to the internal tools that help us face the challenges of existence. The void that many people feel today is partly due to this detachment from the unconscious. For example, dreams, which are a direct channel to this internal world, are dismissed as irrelevant or irrational. However, Jung believed that dreams offer valuable clues about our inner struggles and deepest desires. By not paying attention to these signals, we disconnect from our true identity. Another aspect of this problem is the cultural resistance to emotions and instincts. In a world that values logic and productivity, emotions are seen as obstacles, and instincts as something primitive that must be controlled. However, Jung argued that both are essential for psychological balance. When repressed, the individual becomes rigid and loses the ability to adapt and evolve. The solution lies in restoring balance between the ego and the unconscious. This involves a conscious process of inner exploration, often through therapy or practices like meditation and introspective writing. By integrating the forces of the unconscious into our conscious life, we can access greater fullness and authenticity. According to Jung, this work is not an optional task, but an urgent necessity to heal the void of modernity. Archetypes are primordial images and patterns that reside in the collective unconscious, a psychological structure shared by all humanity. Carl Jung described them as essential symbols that connect individuals to universal experience, offering guidance and meaning in their lives. In the past, archetypes manifested through myths, rituals, and stories that formed the foundation of cultures. Today, the disconnection from these archetypal images has left a void in the human soul. A classic example of an archetype is the hero, present in the stories of many cultures. In myths, the hero faces challenges, overcomes adversities, and returns transformed. This symbol guides individuals in their own journeys of personal growth. However, in the modern world, traditional narratives embodying these archetypes have been replaced by superficial entertainment or trivialized. As a result, people lack symbolic maps to help them understand and navigate their own struggles. Another significant archetype is the wise one, which represents the search for knowledge and truth. In the past, this archetype was embodied in figures such as philosophers, spiritual teachers, or revered elders. Today, society glorifies technical and scientific experts, but often ignores spiritual or intuitive wisdom, limiting access to deeper forms of understanding. This disconnection from archetypes also affects relationships. Jung spoke of the anima and animus, representations of the feminine and masculine aspects within each individual. When we fail to integrate these forces within ourselves, we project our expectations onto others, leading to conflicts and disillusionment in relationships. Without the guidance of these archetypes, our interactions lack depth and resonance. To reconnect with the archetypes, Jung suggested exploring dreams, active imagination, and art. These practices allow hidden symbols to emerge, helping us re-establish the link with the collective unconscious. In doing so, we not only regain a sense of purpose, but we also participate in a larger narrative that transcends our individual experience. In modernity, individualism has become a supreme value. While it has freed people from oppressive structures, it has also imposed a significant psychological burden. Carl Jung noted that extreme individualism, when not balanced with a sense of community, leads to isolation and emptiness. Historically, communities provided a framework where individuals could find support and purpose. Extended families, religious groups, and cultural traditions offered a sense of belonging. In the modern world, these networks have been replaced by an emphasis on self-sufficiency and personal achievement. While this fosters autonomy, it leaves people without the emotional support needed to face life's challenges. Furthermore, Excessive individualism fosters a culture of constant competition. Rather than collaborating, many people feel compelled to prove their worth through comparisons with others. This mindset generates stress, insecurity, and a sense of disconnection. For Jung, true personal growth does not arise from competition, but from the integration of shared experiences with others. Emotional isolation is another side effect. In an attempt to maintain independence, people tend to hide their vulnerabilities. However, Jung believed that vulnerability is a doorway to authentic connections. Only when we share our struggles and emotions can we experience true intimacy. Recognizing the importance of community does not mean renouncing individuality, but rather finding balance. Jung suggested that authentic relationships are essential for the psyche, as they act as mirrors reflecting our shadows and strengths. By actively participating in meaningful communities, whether familial, cultural, or spiritual, people can discover a shared purpose that complements their individual journey. Ultimately, for Jung, the integration of the individual into a community context is not just a social act, but a psychological necessity. By balancing our individual needs with our connection to others, we can alleviate the void that extreme individualism has created in modern life. Individuation is one of the central concepts in Carl Jung's psychology, a process that leads to the integration of all aspects of the conscious and unconscious self, light and shadow. Jung described this journey as the most essential task of human life because through it we achieve a complete and authentic identity. However, modernity, with its accelerated pace and external demands, profoundly hinders this search. In today's world, many people are trapped in roles predefined by society: efficient worker, ideal consumer, perfect partner. These social molds promote conformity and repress individual differences. The pursuit of external approval through professional success, the accumulation of goods, or perfectionism on social media diverts our attention from the internal questions that truly matter. As a result, each person's unique potential remains hidden behind a facade that meets others' expectations. The process of individuation requires a contrary approach, looking inward, recognizing our contradictions, and accepting the aspects of ourselves that may be uncomfortable or unknown. This includes confronting what Jung called the shadow, the repressed parts of our personality that we consider unacceptable. Instead of fleeing from them, Jung suggested we must integrate them, for in that darkness also resides enormous creative power. Another modern obstacle to individuation is the overabundance of external stimuli. Digital distractions, the constant flow of information, and the pressure to always stay busy make the introspection needed for this process more difficult. Jung emphasized that individuation is not an external achievement, but an internal process that requires time, patience, and a deep commitment to oneself. The path to individuation also involves working with the symbols and archetypes that emerge from the unconscious. Dreams, myths, and symbolic images are essential tools for understanding ourselves better. However, in a society that prioritizes the logical and the rational, these symbolic languages are ignored or misinterpreted, further hindering the process of integration. To facilitate individuation, Jung recommended practices that promote self-knowledge, such as therapy, introspective writing, and meditation. These tools help individuals disconnect temporarily from external demands and reconnect with their inner selves. It is also crucial to find spaces of solitude, not as isolation, but as a refuge for reflection and listening to the voice of our unconscious. The neglect of individuation does not only affect the individual, but society as a whole. Jung believed that a society made up of non-integrated individuals is more prone to fragmentation, conflict, and collective emptiness. In contrast, a community of individuals who have undertaken the journey of individuation can be more conscious, creative, and resilient. Ultimately, individuation is not a destination, but an ongoing path. Every step toward personal integration brings us closer to a more authentic and meaningful life, moving us away from the void that characterizes modernity. A complex, according to Jung, is a core of unconscious emotions and thoughts that behaves like an independent personality within our psyche. These structures form from intense or traumatic experiences, and although we are not always aware of their existence, they deeply influence our decisions, relationships, and overall well-being. In modern life, complexes thrive due to the repression of emotions and internal conflicts. A common example is the inferiority complex. In a society that values external success and appearance, many people develop a sense of inadequacy. This complex can manifest as insecurity, perfectionism, or even arrogance, all forms of compensating for an internal feeling of not being enough. However, instead of confronting the root of these emotions, we often turn to external distractions, perpetuating the cycle of dissatisfaction. Another prevalent complex in modernity is the one related to family trauma. Early experiences, such as a lack of emotional support or unresolved conflicts with parents, can create patterns that affect our adult relationships. For example, someone with an unresolved maternal complex might unconsciously seek maternal figures in their partners or friends, creating repetitive and unhealthy patterns. Modern society, by prioritizing productivity and logic, does not encourage the exploration of these complexes. Instead, it tends to hide them under layers of activity and denial. However, Jung warned that complexes do not appear by themselves. When not consciously addressed, they tend to manifest as physical symptoms, emotional conflicts, or destructive behaviors. The first step in working with complexes is to recognize their existence. This requires a level of self-awareness that can be achieved through therapy, introspection, or even dream exploration, where complexes often appear disguised as symbols. Once identified, Jung recommended integrating them into our conscious psyche, which involves accepting the emotions and memories associated with them. Without judgment, individuation is one of the central concepts in Carl Jung's psychology, a process that leads to the integration of all aspects of the conscious and unconscious self, light and shadow. Jung described this journey as the most essential task of human life because, through it, we achieve a complete and authentic identity. However, modernity, with its accelerated pace and external demands, profoundly hinders this search. In today's world, many people are trapped in roles predefined by society: efficient worker, ideal consumer, perfect partner. These social molds promote conformity and repress individual differences. The pursuit of external approval through professional success, the accumulation of goods, or perfectionism on social media diverts our attention from the internal questions that truly matter. As a result, each person's unique potential remains hidden behind a facade that meets others' expectations. The process of individuation requires a contrary approach, looking inward, recognizing our contradictions, and accepting the aspects of ourselves that may be uncomfortable or unknown. This includes confronting what Jung called the shadow, the repressed parts of our personality that we consider unacceptable. Instead of fleeing from them, Jung suggested we must integrate them, for in that darkness also resides enormous creative power. Another modern obstacle to individuation is the overabundance of external stimuli. Digital distractions, the constant flow of information, and the pressure to always stay busy make the introspection needed for this process more difficult. Jung emphasized that individuation is not an external achievement, but an internal process that requires time, patience, and a deep commitment to oneself. The path to individuation also involves working with the symbols and archetypes that emerge from the unconscious. Dreams, myths, and symbolic images are essential tools for understanding ourselves better. However, in a society that prioritizes the logical and the rational, these symbolic languages are ignored or misinterpreted, further hindering the process of integration. To facilitate individuation, Jung recommended practices that promote self-knowledge, such as therapy, introspective writing, and meditation. These tools help individuals disconnect temporarily from external demands and reconnect with their inner selves. It is also crucial to find spaces of solitude, not as isolation, but as a refuge for reflection and listening to the voice of our unconscious. The neglect of individuation does not only affect the individual, but society as a whole. Jung believed that a society made up of non-integrated individuals is more prone to fragmentation, conflict, and collective emptiness. In contrast, a community of individuals who have undertaken the journey of individuation can be more conscious, creative, and resilient. Ultimately, individuation is not a destination but an ongoing path. Every step toward personal integration brings us closer to a more authentic and meaningful life, moving us away from the void that characterizes modernity. A complex, according to Jung, is a core of unconscious emotions and thoughts that behaves like an independent personality within our psyche. These structures form from intense or traumatic experiences, and although we are not always aware of their existence, they deeply influence our decisions, relationships, and overall well-being. In modern life, complexes thrive due to the repression of emotions and internal conflicts. A common example is the inferiority complex. In a society that values external success and appearance, many people develop a sense of inadequacy. This complex can manifest as insecurity, perfectionism, or even arrogance, all forms of compensating for an internal feeling of not being enough. However, instead of confronting the root of these emotions, we often turn to external distractions, perpetuating the cycle of dissatisfaction. Another prevalent complex in modernity is the one related to family trauma. Early experiences, such as a lack of emotional support or unresolved conflicts with parents, can create patterns that affect our adult relationships. For example, someone with an unresolved maternal complex might unconsciously seek maternal figures in their partners or friends, creating repetitive and unhealthy patterns. Modern society, by prioritizing productivity and logic, does not encourage the exploration of these complexes. Instead, it tends to hide them under layers of activity and denial. However, Jung warned that complexes do not appear by themselves. When not consciously addressed, they tend to manifest as physical symptoms, emotional conflicts, or destructive behaviors. The first step in working with complexes is to recognize their existence. This requires a level of self-awareness that can be achieved through therapy, introspection, or even dream exploration, where complexes often appear disguised as symbols. Once identified, Jung recommended integrating them into our conscious psyche, which involves accepting the emotions and memories associated with them without judgment. Although confronting complexes can be painful, the result is greater emotional freedom and mental clarity. By releasing the energy trapped in these cores, we can redirect it towards more constructive and fulfilling goals. Moreover, by healing our complexes, we not only improve our individual lives, but also contribute to healthier relationships and ultimately a more balanced society. In summary, complexes are not enemies to be destroyed, but aspects of ourselves that need to be heard and integrated. Only by facing them can we overcome the limitations they impose and move towards a fuller, more authentic life. Rituals have been essential for the human psyche throughout history, from rites of passage such as weddings and funerals to everyday rituals of reflection or gratitude. These practices provided people with a symbolic framework to process emotional experiences and connect with something greater than themselves. Carl Jung argued that rituals are not mere formalities, but profound psychological tools that integrate conscious experience with unconscious content. In modernity, however, rituals have lost much of their transformative power. One key problem is the banalization of rituals. Many ceremonies that once carried deep meaning have been reduced to social formalities or commercial events. For example, a wedding may be seen as an extravagant party rather than a spiritual commitment. A funeral, instead of being a moment of deep reflection and connection with the cycle of life, may become a mechanical routine that avoids real engagement with the emotion of grief. This loss of symbolism deprives individuals of opportunities to process complex emotions and find meaning in their life transitions. Another issue is the absence of new rituals that reflect the needs of modern life. Traditional societies had ceremonies marking the passage from childhood to adulthood, the transition to parenthood, or entry into old age. These practices helped people navigate life stages with a sense of purpose and belonging. Today, many of these transitions go unnoticed, leaving individuals disoriented and emotionally isolated. Furthermore, current culture, with its emphasis on productivity and external success, does not create space for personal rituals. Daily routines focus on tasks and obligations, leaving little time for introspection or spiritual connection. Even when people try to create personal rituals like meditation or reflective writing, they often feel guilty for spending time on something that doesn't produce tangible results. Jung saw rituals as ways to reconnect the individual with the collective unconscious, the repository of shared wisdom that unites humanity. Without rituals, Access to this collective unconscious is limited, contributing to feelings of emptiness and disconnection. For example, in the context of therapy, Jung used techniques like active imagination, which function as internal rituals to explore and make sense of unconscious content. Recovering meaningful rituals doesn't require a return to traditional ceremonies, though these may be valuable for some. Instead, Jung suggested that each individual could create their own rituals, adapted to their life and values. This might include simple practices like lighting a candle at the end of the day for reflection, walking in nature to reconnect with the environment, or journaling to process emotions and dreams. Modern rituals can also incorporate elements of creativity and personal expression. Painting, composing music, or practicing yoga can become ritual acts if performed with intention and awareness. The key is that these practices are not merely mechanical activities, but are imbued with meaning and connection. Ultimately, Jung believed that rituals are essential for facing life's challenges with psychological integrity. They help us process change, integrate experiences, and reconnect with our deepest essence. Recovering the sense of ritual in our lives can not only alleviate existential emptiness, but also restore a sense of belonging and purpose in a fragmented world. Synchronicity, defined by Carl Jung as the meaningful coincidence of two or more events without an apparent causal relationship, is one of the most mysterious and transformative experiences of the human psyche. These meaningful coincidences offer moments where external reality and our inner life seem to align, reminding us that we are part of a larger whole. However, in modernity, this phenomenon is less encouraged, and when it occurs, it is often ignored or rationalized. The loss of synchronicity is related to our disconnection from the collective unconscious. Jung observed that synchronicities tend to emerge during moments of personal or collective transformation, such as births, deaths, falling in love, or existential crises. In these situations, the barriers between the conscious and unconscious become more permeable, allowing symbols and events that resonate with our deepest needs to emerge. In modern life, however, the speed and constant distraction make it difficult to perceive these meaningful moments. We are so caught up in our routines and immediate concerns that we don't leave space to notice the symbolic connections emerging around us. For example, a person may have a powerful dream about water, and then unexpectedly find themselves by a river the next day. For Jung, this type of experience is not a coincidence, but a manifestation of the collective unconscious trying to communicate. But in a world where everything is reduced to logic and probability, such events are often dismissed. Synchronicity not only holds value as a personal experience, but also as a reminder that we live in an interconnected universe. In Jung's view, recognizing these meaningful coincidences can help us regain a sense of purpose and alignment with our life. For example, a person who feels lost may find in a synchronicity a message that guides them toward a new path. Fostering synchronicity requires being more present and open to the unexpected. This involves slowing down and paying attention to both the outer world and our inner emotions. Contemplative practices like meditation or introspective writing can help us develop this openness. Furthermore, it is important to value our intuitions and sensations, which are often the first signs that something significant is happening. Jung also emphasized that synchronicities often arise in the context of therapy or creative work. These activities facilitate access to the unconscious and create a space where symbols and archetypes can manifest. Therefore, cultivating a creative life or exploring our inner world through therapy not only benefits our personal growth, but also opens us up to synchronicities that can transform our perspective. In a world where apparent chaos reigns, synchronicities are reminders that there is an underlying order. By learning to recognize and appreciate them, we can overcome the feeling of disconnection and find greater harmony between our inner and outer lives. For Jung, this ability to perceive and respond to synchronicities is one of the keys to healing the modern void and living more fully. The human soul, in Carl Jung's view, is not an abstract concept or a romantic idea. It is the very essence of our existence, the core where our emotions, aspirations, and connection to the transcendent reside. However, in modernity, this soul seems to be in crisis. We live in an era that exalts the rational mind and material success, while dismissing the deeper needs of being. For Jung, this disconnection from our soul is the root of the existential void many experience. The search for redemption begins with recognizing that the soul cannot be ignored. Denying its needs leads to psychological stagnation, which manifests as anxiety, depression, or a persistent sense of dissatisfaction. Jung observed that, instead of facing this discomfort, many people turn to external distractions like consumption, entertainment, or social media. But these solutions only provide temporary relief. One of the greatest challenges for the modern soul is the loss of purpose. In the past, religious and philosophical systems provided a framework that gave life meaning. Today, with the fragmentation of these structures, many people feel abandoned in a world without a compass. Jung did not propose returning to traditional religions, but suggested finding new ways to connect with the sacred. This connection can arise through creativity, nature, art, or meditation, as long as these practices are authentic and meaningful to the individual. Another path to the redemption of the soul is working with the unconscious. For Jung, dreams, fantasies, and symbols within us are messages from the soul seeking our attention. Ignoring them is like walking past an important letter without opening it. Paying attention to these messages not only helps us understand ourselves better, but also guides us toward a life more aligned with our true essence. Moreover, the redemption of the soul involves accepting our shadows. Jung insisted that we cannot achieve wholeness without confronting and embracing the dark aspects of our personality. This process, though uncomfortable, is liberating. By integrating our shadows, we not only reduce internal conflict, but also unlock a great source of creative and emotional energy. Modernity has also imposed a pace that leaves little space for contemplation and soul care. Jung emphasized the importance of creating moments of pause in our daily lives, times dedicated to introspection and connection with our deepest essence. These moments do not have to be long or complicated. Even a brief walk in nature or a reflective writing practice can have a significant impact. Finally, the search for redemption is not just an individual journey. Jung believed that the well-being of the soul is intrinsically linked to our relationships with others. Authentic connection with other people helps us experience a sense of belonging and reminds us that we are not alone in our struggle to find meaning. In this context, love, friendship, and empathy are powerful tools for healing the modern void. Technological advancement has transformed all aspects of modern life, from communication to work and leisure. However, Carl Jung would have pointed out that this development, though impressive, has created a profound conflict between humans and their essence. Technology promises to make our lives easier, but it often disconnects us from our emotions, relationships, and deeper needs. On one hand, technology offers convenience and immediate access to information and resources. On the other hand, it fosters excessive dependence that can alienate us from our own abilities and from others. For example, virtual communication, though practical, lacks the emotional richness of face-to-face interaction. Jung would have seen this as a disconnection from the living soul of human relationships. Moreover, technology tends to displace symbolic and archetypal experiences. In the past, mythical narratives and rituals shaped our lives. Now, social media and mass entertainment occupy that space, often with empty or superficial content. This not only affects our individual psyche, but also the collective unconscious, which is impoverished when universal symbols lose their meaning. The remedy, according to Jung, is not to reject technology, but to use it consciously. Instead of allowing it to control us, we must integrate it into our lives as a tool that complements rather than replaces our human connections and introspection. This means finding a balance by setting clear boundaries for screen time and cultivating activities that reconnect us with our essence, such as deep reading, creativity, and contact with nature. Technology is not the enemy, but its unconscious use can deepen the modern void. The key is to keep our humanity at the center of our lives, ensuring that the tools we create serve us rather than consume us. In this way, we can reconcile technological advancement with spiritual development, regaining a balance that fosters well-being. Carl Jung regarded dreams as one of the most vital gateways to the unconscious mind. Through dreams, the psyche delivers essential messages, helping us uncover internal conflicts, repressed emotions, and pathways to personal growth. In today's fast-paced world where little time is left for introspection, dreams often go unnoticed despite their invaluable role in addressing the existential void. Far from being random mental events, dreams are rich with symbols that reveal the deepest needs and desires of the soul. For instance, a recurring dream of wandering through a labyrinth might symbolize the feeling of being trapped in daily routines. For Jung, the goal of dream analysis was not to find quick solutions, but to uncover the symbolic meanings that influence our conscious lives. Yet, in modern society, dreams are frequently dismissed or trivialized, further disconnecting us from our authentic selves. Jung considered this neglect a significant loss, as dreams are direct links to archetypes and the collective unconscious, a kind of inner guide offering clarity and insight. Engaging with dreams can be a transformative process. Jung recommended keeping a dream journal as a practical first step to connecting with the unconscious. Writing down the details of our dreams and contemplating their significance helps us identify recurring patterns and themes over time. This practice can lead to profound self-awareness, uncovering hidden shadows, sparking creativity, and finding solutions to personal challenges. Dreams not only reveal inner conflicts, but can also illuminate paths toward healing and renewal. They might present fresh perspectives on current struggles or hint at resolutions we have overlooked. By attuning ourselves to these messages, we align with a deeper purpose, enabling us to confront the existential void of modern life with clarity and direction. Jung emphasized that dreams are not an escape from reality, but a reconnection to our innermost essence. In a world dominated by external noise, listening to our dreams becomes an act of self-discovery and transformation. By embracing their power, we may uncover not only answers, but also the profound meaning we seek. The challenges of the modern soul need not lead to perpetual suffering. Though we navigate a world brimming with distractions and demands, Jung reminds us that redemption is attainable through self-knowledge, shadow integration, and a reconnection with the sacred. Taking time to listen to the soul and respond to its needs allows us to transform our lives and discover fulfillment that transcends material circumstances. So why does modern life feel so empty? Jung's insights help us understand how materialism, unchecked technological progress, disconnection from the unconscious, and the absence of meaningful rituals have deepened this sense of emptiness. Yet this discomfort need not be our destiny. It is an invitation. Overcoming this void requires turning inward, reconnecting with the unconscious, and embracing the symbols and archetypes that have guided humanity for centuries. The journey is neither swift nor simple, but it is profoundly transformative. By integrating the neglected facets of our psyche and fostering harmony between the ego and the unconscious, we can rediscover purpose and belonging. Modernity, with its trials, also offers unique possibilities. It gives us the chance to rediscover the sacred in personal ways, through art, nature, or introspection. It invites us to create rituals that reflect our values and foster communities grounded in authenticity and mutual support. For Jung, the void signals not the end, but the beginning of a journey toward wholeness. It is a call from within, urging us to listen, heal, and grow. The question Jung leaves us with is this: are you ready to embark on the journey toward your soul? The answers lie not in the external world, but deep within your being. Only by heeding this call can you uncover the meaning and fulfillment you seek.